Hello everyone, I am the Dorseman, and welcome back to another pixel art video. So what we're going to do today is we're going to make a secondary enemy type for the game. I have my blank canvas right here. I already have my palette imported that I want to use today to pick my colors from. And the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to make layers. Because if there's one thing I struggled with in the last video, it was finding the right layer and knowing which layer I needed to be on to accomplish what I need. Alright, so as you can see, I have all my layers planned out. I have all of the different parts of his character sprite planned out ahead of time so that I can animate each layer rather than having to worry about animating the entire character as a whole. I can make his head move where I want it to by just clicking the I button on all of these layers and worrying about only his head. And then I can do the same thing to his torso, which is probably going to remain largely stationary. His right and left arm, his right and left leg, etc. A good thing to do right out of the bat is I know round about what I want this guy to look like. So a very good thing for you to do early on when you're making something is to plan out what kind of colors you want to use. Sometimes you just don't know, and you're going to have to kind of fiddle around with, so I want this guy to be really brown. Just really brown. Just kind of click. And just pick out a few brown colors that you think might look kind of good. And get one of these. It's kind of like a chocolatey looking brown there. This is kind of a pale red color here. And I'm trying to build around a sort of theme, sort of a leathery skin look to him. So we want the skin to look real, like kind of worn out leathery. Let's get started. Let's get drawing. Let's see what this guy's gonna look like. Probably pretty bad. Probably pretty bad. So what we want from this creature is to make him look like an imp. He wants to, I want him to look like a little mangled up little ball of hatred. And I want him to throw fireballs at you. See, I don't know how. It's very difficult sometimes to conceptualize something in your head and then just put it down. Anybody that has ever experimented with any kind of drawing or any kind of artwork, whether it be in the physical or digital form, knows exactly what I'm talking about. You have an image in your brain. You can't put it where you want it to, though, because it just doesn't flow right out of your head sometimes. So I want this perspective to be kind of top down. So I'm going to want his face to be somewhere around here. And I'm going to want his legs to kind of curl out underneath of him. And then you're going to see a small amount of torso right there, right? And then his wings are going to be kind of behind him like that, right? And he's going to have his arm up like this, just exactly like that. And his other arm's going to be kind of out and in front of him, right? So that's kind of what I want there. But, of course, that looks like hot garbage. Just a nice little pre-planning phase. I might just, time-lapses are a thing. Alright, so I wanted to record this little bit of audio while we're doing the time-lapse here, just to kind of fill you in on some of my thought processes here. So I know that guy off to the left looks a little gangly and a little unfinished, but that was kind of the point. I just wanted him there for reference so I could see where I need to put the individual pieces of this guy. As you can see here, I'm selecting colors to try to fill in his body. Surprisingly, doing pixel art like this is actually pretty helpful for me, going just dot by dot and then moving pieces around, because it allows me to have precise placement over where I want to put everything. I know a lot of people, especially people that are used to doing art in a physical medium, just kind of rely on being able to have brush strokes or pencil strokes so they can know exactly what they want to do with the pieces of the art, and it produces a better flow for them. I used to do just little pencil drawings myself, especially when I was younger, when I was in school. I like to do things with pencils, and it was actually really, it was really helpful and really easy to have to have a pencil and paper and use my hand to guide where everything goes. But I find when doing pixel art, actually placing each pixel at a time helps me get a better shape for everything versus having just trying to use the mouse to trace a line with my hand as you would if you were using a pencil and paper or a pen and paper. So you can see here I'm getting a much better shape than that little blob off to the left there. And I decided to time lapse it because this was just an unreal amount of footage to have and to talk over. It ended up being almost an hour long, and that's not what I want. I don't want to bore everybody for an hour just talking about what I'm doing here. So I figured I'd talk about it here and give everybody kind of a clue. So as you can see here, I'm trying to get him to scrunch up real good, and I tried to change the perspective of his face because the left side of his body seems to be a bit more forward towards the camera than the right side of his body, and that was on purpose so I could give him a little bit of an angle. I figured maybe he would come down the river at an angle rather than coming at you straight ahead. So he would kind of be off to the side, throwing projectiles at you, rather than be directly in front of you. I figured I could save the winged beast to be a kind of directly in front of you enemy, rather than have enemies all over the place. That way you can have an enemy right in front of you, you can have an enemy off to the left and right of you, and it's going to be a pretty simple process to actually transform this fellow and change perspective. I'm just going to have to copy and paste him and then do a vertical flip, and he'll be facing the other direction. The hard process of all this is going to be animating him, which I decided to save for another episode, so I can have just an episode for creating the creature, as it were, and then an episode for animating the creature. So you can see both processes kind of thought out, maybe in a time-lapse style for the animation as well. And I'll quickly bring up too, I was able to successfully put everything on their own layer so that when I go back to animate him, it'll be pretty simple to just grab one piece of him, animate it, and then grab another piece of him and animate it, and then eventually merge all the layers down so he's one fully animated sprite. That way we don't have to worry about grabbing each piece of him and then contorting it and trying to make it all fit and go together. I figured this was a much easier way to conceptualize what we're doing. And I have every limb and piece of him a different color to aid in that process as well. So I can see where his arm's going to go, where his tail is going to go, where his wings are going to go, etc. Just so I have a pretty clear picture of how each piece of the animation is going to work before I add the detail. And that's very important. You don't want to add the detail until after you're done animating and you have the animation exactly the way that you want it, because if you do, you're just going to have to spend a lot of time cleaning up the detailed pieces of it. So that's all I got here, and we will see y'all next time. Thank you so much for watching.